Right, thank you for joining us once again on ShrimpNet, the Shrimps Trust podcast, to discuss the team and having a week off. And so, joining myself and Joel, we have our ever-active board member, Charlie. Welcome along, Charles.
Evening, gentlemen.
And to discuss the impending Exeter, which half of you will have already seen will have beaten them 4-0. The World Cup and a surprise Shrimps International 11, which we've dreamt up. We have also with us long-term fan Posh, Michael Gibson. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Hello, one and all.
Yes, and we're recording this just before we came live to record this, just to let you know how live it is. We were chatting away and it was 1-0 to Spain, and by the time we started recording, it's 2-1 to Japan. So I'm sure you're aware when we're recording it. So there you go. Right, Exeter gents, what are we reckoning? I'm going to open the story with, I play football on a Wednesday night, and Barry Roach is there doing his coaching school. So we always have a bit of a 2-minute crossover. And after the last 3 games, Barry says somebody soon is going to get a tonking, and he feels it's going to be Exeter on Friday night. He says, I can just see us putting 4 past them. And the interesting little tidbit that he said was, Cole's got his head back on. You can see it in training. That's what he said. Joel, discuss.
Yeah, it'd be a good time for it to happen, wouldn't it? I mean, Exeter, they're an interesting side. I think they've done very, very well this season. I think coming up, they have had that continuity of the manager still being there. Obviously, that has now changed. He's now gone to Rotherham, and they've done okay over the last few games. But obviously, they went out of the FA Cup last weekend. They did a defeat against Ipswich last time out in the league. But before that, they beat Peterborough. So, I mean, looking at the results, they've been quite up and down. They do look like they've got a few goals and then they've got some decent forwards. Obviously, Giovanni Brown's a good creative presence up top, and they've got Jay Stansfield who scored a few goals. But like you say, they're not one of those kind of top teams that we have faced a lot of the time in recent home games. They're not like a Derby or an Ipswich or even a Portsmouth. Portsmouth are doing really well this season. So if we can kind of match those kind of performance levels that we've put in against the caliber of opposition that we've recently faced at home, then hopefully Exeter might be that team in line for a tonking. However, I'm not going to say too much because I am afraid of curses and jinxes.
Charlie, are you buying into this that we are creating? I mean, look, we discussed the Lincoln game last week. We hit the post twice. We had another good chance. Keeper made a good save, and then we finally score. And you're just thinking, the performances, particularly the home performances, Derby, Portsmouth, and away at Lincoln, we should have, and I keep repeating the same mantra week after week. The ones we've drawn, we should have won, and the ones we're losing, we should have drawn. But could Exeter be the one? Charles?
Charlie.
Yeah.
So yeah, internet issues. Yeah, I hopefully will be. Don't so this usual time off with the players. They've probably been training every day, even if they've had 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
But I think Cole nearly had that chance, didn't he, for 35 yards out against in the first game, and he scored in the second game, and he looked so much more perky. You never know, but like I said, Freez, like broken records every week. We're on here saying that we should be getting more luck and more goals and more victories. And I just think it's time because there's a bit of with the ownership thing going on, and there's a bit of an undercurrent of frustration going on. I think if we're honest with each other, and we need to just try and get a couple of good results to try and get some positivity back.
And that's all it'd take, Posh, wouldn't it? A couple of wins. Which we are, in my personal view, it's long overdue. We've got people coming back from injury. Jake Taylor played particularly well in the league game against Lincoln and obviously made a difference with him and Weir and Shaw in midfield because we had loads and loads of legs all afternoon. And obviously Max Melbourne's back, and hopefully it won't be long. I mean, obviously Ash Hunter's due back this month, so it'd be a nice time to start picking some wins up.
Yeah, it's that big. The problem is that kind of psychological gap now between the bottom 4 and Cambridge and Aki. There's a 2-win gap now. There's a lot. It's going to take a while to claw that back. It doesn't matter, how we play. So that's looking like a bit of a bridge. And we've got to escape out into that, because I think there's actually a few teams who look vulnerable, and you keep thinking they're a bit more vulnerable, above us. Cheltenham, Aki, even Fleetwood have started to dip a bit. Cambridge particularly, so there's plenty of options for us, but like you say, we just got to grab those wins. As for the Exeter game, I frankly don't care, because 2 weeks ago, some friends from London said, we're up at the weekend. I said, oh, brilliant, Friday night. Yeah, great, Friday night. So I immediately booked the table for dinner, and then realised that Exeter was on a Friday, not a Saturday.
And that was to prevent England finishing second in the group and playing on a Saturday afternoon. And to nobody's surprise, we topped the group and we play on Sunday night.
So there'll be me and basically all of Exeter who won't be at the game, probably. Who's going to do that trip? Yeah, well,
if it's any consolation, and I shall be lamenting this next week, if we happen to get past Senegal and France happen to get past Poland, guess who's booked in at 7:00 at Pizza Margherita on Saturday the 10th? when France versus England kicks off? Me. With a long-term mate who's, again, I'm coming up for the weekend. Oh, great. We'll book a meal. Didn't even look at the bloody fixtures. So I'm the same as you if we get through. There you go.
Yeah, well, the same problem on Tuesday. Sat in a bloody restaurant.
Really?
Had my phone under the table while I'm talking to people. Oh, yeah, nice. But yeah, how's the work going for you? We're 3-0 up.
Yeah, always the way. So
that's me getting excited.
Yeah, we can do it. And just as a matter of interest, to those who are just watching now, Costa Rica have equalised, which is hilarious. But there you go. So it could be bye Germany. But
amazing.
Yes, this World Cup's full of surprises, and that's what I want to talk about. The World Cup. Obviously, a bit of a remiss not mentioning what's been going on. My take on it, for my 2 penneth, I think the refs have been pretty blooming good all along. Thoughts on that?
I don't think I've ever heard you say anything like that about a referee before.
Exactly. I've got very high standards, but I think the refs have been uniformly pretty good.
Yeah.
They've got most things right. And the only thing I will say that's annoying me is Argentina and Portugal getting soft penalties, us and Canada being denied penalties for worse incidents than the 2 penalties that were given in the Argentina and Portugal games.
Yes, actually, you just said they got most things right. One thing they definitely didn't get right was the if anybody's seen it, the penalty that they gave to Argentina last night, which was a shambles.
No. And the handball one as well, where the against Portugal, and he drops down, falls down backwards and touches the ball down. Like, what? Yeah.
We have to admit, we're less of a penalty than Carl Leatherham punching Scott Bennett in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
But the real question of it is, how much of a penalty were they compared to John O'Sullivan being cynically scythed down inside the Newport area? Is the real question. That's the real comparison.
Well, Stephen Drench on Clayton Donaldson, that's still, it's probably, in terms of the most important non-penalty of all time, that's probably one of the big ones for us.
Yeah, that was there's plenty. Well, like I said, the refs have been uniformly good. It's been VAR that's letting it down a bit, but that sort of tends to happen, doesn't it? But I've been apart from the fact that I am now obviously in a situation where I can watch most of the games, and you'll be happy to know that I have sat through every single one of the 5-0 nils.
It's a 0-0 or 3-0, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, that this afternoon, I was laughing my head off because I was like, well, Croatia weren't interested, but consider Belgium and Croatia got to the semi-finals 4 years ago. It was bloody awful. There was a passage of play in about the 44th minute where both teams gave it away about 6 times in a minute. And it was like, good God, this is like watching under sevens. They're all crowding around the ball.
And apart from England, what's been your favourite game so far?
I think that 3-3 was pretty good. But I also liked... go on.
Which one?
Cameroon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Cameroon Serbia one. I enjoyed the Ghana win 3-2 against South
Oh, yeah,
Korea,
that was a good game.
just because the last 20 minutes, including that 10 minutes of stoppage time, were just Cameroon packing out their box
Yeah.
and South
just
Korea
attack and
swinging
defense,
balls in.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. And just the amount of tension and just kind of every time there was half a second that the ball broke loose in the box, there were about 4 or 5 Ghanaian players just hurling themselves in front of the ball. I just found that very entertaining. It did kind of remind me of last few minutes against Tranmere and Newport in the playoffs. Just every time, like packing the box, every time the ball goes loose for half a second, just players paddling in front of it.
Good effort. And
obviously trying to work out Morecambe connections. Really, it's been Danny Ward coming on. First ever.
Don't go there yet. Don't go there yet.
Well, no, I mean, I think we can.
Talk
I
about
think.
that in a
I
minute.
think well,
Talk
no,
about
it's a nice introduction to what we're going to discuss later. But I just think
It is.
having a first ever ex-Morecambe player playing a World Cup finals is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was impressive. And to be fair, when England were dominating and were 2-0 up, and I felt a bit sorry for him on that Rashford second goal when he made it 3-0. But then, thankfully, he made 3 really, really good stops and kept it down. And I was thinking, well, if you're a Welshman, you're going to be thinking, well, yeah, all right, Danny Ward may have been partly culpable for that third goal. I don't think there was anything wrong with the free kick. His mistake was moving slightly to his right before he went, but it was a good free kick. He went in top corner. But it was nice. I was saying to Sal, I hope Danny Ward does really, really well for the rest of the game. And he did. He made 3 really good saves, didn't he? Kept it down to 3 instead of 6.
Yeah.
But so what's been your favourite game of the World Cup, Charlie?
Spain-Germany was good. I enjoyed that. Did you watch that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quite intense, wasn't it?
Germany couldn't get through by passing through, so they put this massive unit on who just scored loads of absolutely. You know, he even took the ball. I think it's something I like to do when playing with Fabio James Wakefield. Just as he's about to shoot, take the ball off the foot and slam it in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really, really good finish and set it really well. Spain a bit until they go 2-1 down. This World Cup, they were probably the only team going to get probably the favourites to win it. I thought, but what they're going to finish second now, aren't they? Yeah.
At the moment, as it stands, they are second.
Yeah, they are. So that's a surprise for whoever plays there.
Ultimately, probably ours to lose, obviously, but anyone's to win.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what my other point was about the World Cup. I'd like to say the VAR, it is what it is. You've got to take, you know. Oh, I was going to comment, and apparently our the English FA have come out and the Premier League have come out and said they're not interested in implementing the added time, which I think it's good that FIFA have implemented the added time because they did their own study, didn't they, and found out that the ball was only in play on average 52 minutes. So you're only just getting over one half of football. So I think it's good that they've been adding on when teams are wasting time. You know, they started straight away, didn't they? Adding 7 and 9 minutes on and what have you. And personally, I think that's good. You're getting your money's worth. What about you, Joel?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it might be a little bit of a segue at some point in the future because I know it has been floated around by some kind of rule makers, and I think it's probably not the worst idea of having a stop clock like they do in rugby or something like that, but instead making halves 30 minutes each, so it's an hour overall, which is probably going to take around the same amount of time as a 90-minute football match does. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it kind of sounds like a good idea. I'm not entirely sure, but like at the same time, part of the reason that makes you unsure is just because it's change, and change is always a bit freaky.
You imagine from the last game of the season, and we winning 1-0, and there's 12 minutes of injury time.
Yeah, no.
I'll be getting very angry about the amount of stoppage time at that point.
Bullshit, ridiculous.
Yeah,
Only been 3 minutes back in the day.
Exactly. But the thing is, and I take your point. I think you're right. But I think there is something to be said because rugby league, there is no added time. They just stop the clock every time the ball isn't in play in rugby league. So if you stop the clock, or not for throw-ins and corners, but like say for instance, goal kicks and treatment to players and substitutions and injuries. If you stop the clock every single time, then 45 minutes is what you get. And then 45 minutes, you're like, right, there's no need to play any injury time.
That's fair as a magic person just adding on 10 minutes, isn't it? It's probably fairer to do the stop-start.
Yes,
Chest,
I think
isn't
so.
Apparently, though, the one reason that they're kind of backtracking a bit is because it's messing up TV schedules. So you don't get enough adverts in, you don't get enough follow-up and all that kind of stuff.
That shouldn't affect it.
So it all messes up. Well, the 10 o'clock news has to be delayed and all that nonsense, and everything else. Yeah.
Oh my God! Costa Rica 2, Germany 1.
What the hell?
Oh, this is the World Cup that keeps on giving. What the keeper doing there? This
What?
is
Hold it. Japan and Costa at the moment. Japan and Costa Rica are going through.
No way.
Yeah.
Spain are out. Oh my God, they are. You're right.
Oh wow.
This is like a joint commentary of the game. The game's going on.
Oh, this is.
That's amazing.
This is comedy gold.
Germany
That's fantastic. I don't want to watch it because I'm trying to concentrate on this, and then every time I look over there, it's just like, oh my God.
Sadly, Germany have just equalised.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, well.
So now it's back to, but they're still going out, but just Spain are going ahead.
Right.
This is we'll
Spain are going through.
Yeah, Spain are going through at the moment.
Oh, bloody hell. This is amazing. Anyway,
Charlie was saying about that. The goal for Germany when in Nicholas Fulkrug, and it was just like you know that he's going to be the one player like Fulham will pay 65 million for now based on one goal, and then they'll get relegated and he'll score like 2.
Tap a bag of wet cement.
Yeah, he'll score a tap in and then miss one from 6 yards in the final game of the season to keep him, try and keep him up. And they'll get relegated.
Well, just as a matter of interest, Romelu Lukaku had an interesting afternoon, didn't he?
Poor fella. I think you could tell he was coming back from injury and he hadn't had a lot of football because that level of sharpness to be able to tuck away those chances just wasn't there, was it?
No. The one where he hit the post, he was unlucky, but then the header, he should have done better. He didn't move his feet. And the one that hit him on the chest, he just looked surprised by, didn't he?
I know, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You think if you're fully sharp, you'd be alive to that. But no, you could tell he was bless him.
Yeah,
full time, he looked very upset. Bless him.
I think somebody put on Twitter, my grandma, they put that in. Oh, way up. Charlie's keeping us up to get. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's the German equaliser.
Yeah.
So,
Shame.
Oh, he might be offside. No, he's not.
It was nice while it lasted.
It was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
Now Spain are back through, but Germany is still going out.
Yeah, looks like it.
Costa Rica gutted. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. Right. So we've been enjoying the World Cup. There's still plenty of time to go. Obviously, me and Posh are not going to watch any more games because we're busy doing other things. But bizarrely, I will be going to the Exeter game. So do you want me to give you text updates, Posh?
Oh yeah, that'd be lovely. I mean, I'll probably be watching it under the table.
Yeah. So yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway, so you can
purchase an iPhone, can't you, in the World Cup every game?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can. I think that'd make Posh really excellent company while he does that.
You come all the way from London and I'm watching my phone underneath the restaurant.
What would you like for your starter, sir? Oh, I think I'd like some of the. Oh, never. No. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, Charlie, before we move on to our comedy international 11, you've got a bit of a boardroom update for us from Ben, I believe.
Okay, it's going to be going online tomorrow, but I'll give you on Friday. I think I'll give you some tidbits.
All right, nice one, thank you.
We've got first of all the ownership issue, which is ongoing. We're still. I know there's some interested parties. It's moved on a bit further than it has been going, but it's not quite there yet. But there are some people ahead of the pack than others, I think now, and they're speaking to Bond Group about that. So
so is that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, or Kendall?
It's none of the above.
All right, okay.
Are you confident then you're confident there's going to be a conclusion in terms of a sale?
When?
I mean, obviously, where they within in the near future. I mean, ideally, obviously, before the next transfer window closes would be quite nice, but that's another story.
The point is that you know, it's a very saleable club. You know, it's a pretty simple transaction. You know, there's no debt. It's a really good opportunity to get invested in a football club, whether you're a local person or not. And we just want to, as a board of directors, want to make sure that the buyer that does get through is the right person for the club and is doing it for the right reasons. And hopefully, when we get to that stage, we'll be able to have a bit more influence on it. There, but obviously, you know, it's up to the owner to broker those conversations further down the line. And the EFL have been the EFL are doing the job correctly. You know, we spoke to the EFL. You know, they've made sure that they have tightened up a lot. You know, being reassured by Nick Craig, they have really stepped up their fit and proper persons test from even from 2-3 years ago. It's really much more stringent now. We will be on them like a rash to make sure that to get it through properly. You know, we don't want any message around like we had before. So I was looking at from the inside, from the outside. Sorry, and now I'm looking from the inside. James and I, in addition to the previous people as well, will all be making sure that it's done with proper due diligence. But I'm sure, hopefully, it will be concluded in the next few weeks. I would hope. But
I'm guessing then that due diligence process has then come down to you as directors now, because I think originally one of the difficulties was that you as directors obviously weren't party to the discussions with the owners, because obviously they own the, you know, Jason owns the club, so you know the position sell it. But has that due diligence process now come to you? Are you getting introduced to the potential buyers?
Not quite yet. Due diligence will be taking place most in the EFL side, right? Because we to question things, and we'll be making sure we really do a stringent job on it. And if there was, I'm pretty sure though, from looking at it, that anyone who's interested in the opportunity is not going to be the sort of Joseph Carla style now. I really don't think that could even get through nowadays. I've spoken to the EFL a couple of times about what the process is, and you know, there's been so many bad examples in the past of what's happened. That probably couldn't happen, but that doesn't mean that the person with the biggest wallet and the biggest price will actually be the best person to buy the club, right? You know, want someone who's in it for the long term, who's got money for the long term, who's got money to invest, who's got money to be a proper custodian of the club for the medium to long term, you know, and that's what they've got to do with the EFL fit and proper person test, with the FFI's form they've got to fill in, they've got to show the cash flow for the next 3 years, they've got the funds, where it's from. So hopefully it will conclude in natural time. But I know that you obviously realise that Jason wants to move on as quickly as possible. We need to get some sort of stability. Not stability. It's pretty stable as it is, but obviously we need to be able to look to the future. And you know, I personally feel that I'm in a situation where, you know, with our plans we just can't go any further because there's no money available. No. We can't do anything. We're hamstrung. But the club's running okay. You know, we're stable, and we've got enough money to run the club. But we just haven't got any money to inject extra funds to fund things we need to fund.
See, this is the problem with executing a 3-year plan and doing it all early.
Yeah, true as well. You know,
that'd be a nice Christmas present anyway, or even if it just comes in the new year, that would be good. So go on then, Charlie. What else have you got for us?
EFL Together campaign, supporting communities. We're doing that. We're going to be a big. There's lots of community-based projects to be getting on with, which work with community sports, which is really exciting. We'll be announcing that. Women's football, remember the 11th of December.
Yeah.
Off. We've already sold 200 tickets.
Brilliant.
So that's great. So the Morecambe women, remember, it's not Morecambe ladies street, it's Morecambe women. And there's hospitality options, roast dinner, football roasted in the same place, buying tickets. So that's it. Workington Reds on the 11th of December, which is should be quite good.
That was my Cumbrian
Academy,
face. I did especially for the YouTube viewers there.
Yeah. Academy got some new players, and we do need to make it. Did you know there's been some unfortunate incidents at Lincoln with some vandalism?
Yeah, Rod mentioned it last week. Yeah,
very disappointing. We've had to obviously we haven't got much money as it is. We had to pay. Well, we didn't have to pay. We volunteered to pay for the damage to be fixed.
Yeah.
Lincoln are really good to us when we go there. You know, they let Stuart Ray and Harry and those guys into the director's box the other day, and they were treating us really well. Then some people go and smash up some of the ground, which is not great. But you know, we need to make sure that's not happening in the future. Ollie Howard has been made head medical, which is cool. It's good for him. Yeah, and Harry the analyst is moving on. Harry Taylor, yeah, is moving on. Yeah, he's got a job with a. Can I announce the club? I'm not sure I can. I won't just in case I get told off. But he's moving on. He's been absolutely brilliant. He's one of the first guys we hired when we were trying to professionalise the club when we first came along. He gave a really amazing presentation about Forest Green. I remember in League Two, and he came with his dossier of what Forest Green were going to do. And we lost the game. I think we lost 2-1, but he absolutely called it exactly perfectly right. Yeah, the way they played. So he was a great hire. So thank you to Harry for all he's done there. JB's bar is open on England Senegal. Yeah. I think you need to buy a ticket online, so free tickets, but you need to get a ticket online. Yeah. Morecambe Twitter's changed from Shrimps official to Morecambe FC. I don't know, to make it obviously the people can probably search it better, I suppose. And then half-season tickets. Some supporters asked about half-season tickets. We decided to not sell them this season because the full tickets were such good. We sold so many season tickets, full tickets, and there's limited available anyway. So obviously, we want to maintain the match day ticket revenue and income. So we're going to be doing. We're not going to be doing full half. We're going to be half price season tickets. And the supporter survey is open. If you can fill it in, if you haven't filled it in already, it's a link on the website. Tell us what we're doing, what we're not doing well, and we make it. Hopefully, you've seen from the things in the past. We've always taken feedback on board, and tried to make things better at all times. And there's some Christmas stuff coming up, Christmas parties, and I'm sure you're going to mention about the toy appeal for the Shrimp Trust. Yeah, that was a thing. It's gone really well, hasn't it, Joel? That.
I am on mute. Sorry. Yeah, no, the toy appeal has gone really well. So yeah, there was loads of response for that at the was it the Portsmouth game it was at, wasn't it? Yeah,
was, yeah.
There's loads of response there. We've still got the Amazon wish list open. You can get in touch about drop-offs. I think they're doing drop-offs at the club shop still. So yeah, again, you know, it's wonderful that's been such a big success again. As well. So yeah, again, you know, it's been a good few years in a row that it's been done now. So that's really good. And we're also doing a food appeal as well for food banks, and that'll be at the Charlton game on the 10th.
Yeah.
And that is in the current. It's pretty much all sorted now, I believe. So there should be a van outside the ground that we'll have sorted out for people to do food drop-offs. But there'll be a bit more of that on social media as well to give you kind of the.
I will donate 200 tins of mushy peas and 14.
I'd expect absolutely nothing less from Charlie. I'd expect nothing less. And just final thing from the trust as well. There is a Christmas party in the works. It's either going to be on the 19th or the 20th of December. I don't think it's been quite confirmed yet, but it will be on one of those dates. So yeah. Lots of good bits to report.
What's going on?
I know, yeah. Yeah.
Two things before we go on before the international 11. Number one, Germany just scored to make it 3-2.
Yeah.
Oh.
Number two, what did I say about Danny Cowley at MK Dons? In the last podcast.
About how good he said he was.
Yeah. How Derek was lulling to a false sense of security, and we weren't actually that bad.
No. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We actually smashed it.
Strange how it pans out, isn't So Germany are winning, and it's still not doing the slightest bit of good because they're still 6 goals behind Spain.
Yeah.
Right. Go on.
Well, one thing I was going to mention was the Twitter, and it's really interesting because I set up the Twitter feed, and I called it Shrimps Official because somebody else had called themselves Morecambe FC for some reason anyway, but it was a little bit
Was
bonkers,
it?
yeah.
I knew it had something to do with it, but I didn't realise you were the one who named it.
Yeah, when I set it up, when we set it up, I was determined to do it because I was saying to Steve Wright and a couple of others who were at the club and said, I'm just going to do it, nobody and I'll do the tweets, I'll help out, I'll do whatever's needed, because we were the last one in the whole 92 except for Manchester United. So Manchester United were the last club in the 92 at the time to have a dedicated club feed. So we got in ahead of them. And at the same time, we set up the Vine, which was like the precursor of TikTok, and we were the first club in the UK, well, the first football league club ever to have a Vine account. So at least we were first for something. But we called them all at the time. We called them all Shrimps Official because it was just a lot of other clubs were using it. So it's an interesting day. So for me anyway, then now it's going to become just Morecambe FC.
Morecambe FC. Yeah, it's the sad passing of Posh's influence.
Well, the biggest ever retweet I got wasn't nothing to do with Morecambe FC at all. It was the day that Derek Morecambe actually got his leg cut off, and it was an all the national press. My tweet was an all the national press.
Oh, there you go.
But everything else got about 2 likes, and that got about whatever. Yeah.
David both got sacked from Shrimps Official. David and I both got sacked from Shrimps Official. Duties with David.
I was relieved of my duties. I was relieved of my duties thanks to Matthew Lorenzo not understanding a northern colloquialism.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Matthew Lorenzo, who is a national journalist, who I said, I think it might have been at Crawley, and Cole had a shot, and I went, it's gone in the car park, I'll fag it. And Matthew Lorenzo said, what does this mean, I'll fag it? Is that some sort of... And I answered him, obviously, and I said, no, Tom Brown's school gaze. A fag is someone who goes and does the jobs for the posh people, for the posh boys. I said, so it means you go and do things for them. But apparently he complained, so I was like, the club were like, oh, we don't want you to do the Twitter feed anymore. And I was doing the commentary at the time, so I was like, yeah, fine. And Matt Rushton,
over-exaggerating and biased and partisan.
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was all of those things, but at least I was professional. Anyway, moving on. Our final little, with the World Cup being on, we just decided, and obviously, last week seeing Danny Ward appear as an ex-Morecambe player to appear in the World Cup, we decided to try and cobble together an 11 of internationals or former internationals or people who went on to be internationals who played for the Shrimps. And I think we've done all right here, gents, to be honest. I think we've done pretty well. So we'll start with goalkeepers. And obviously, Danny Ward's the obvious one. But Joel, there's a couple more, aren't there?
Yeah, we're quite blessed in that department with players who featured at international level. Obviously, there's Trevor Carson, who's got... He's been at North Ireland set up. Jokal Anderson in the youth setup at Iceland, Christopher Mafumbi. I think he was Congolese, wasn't he? In the setup there.
Democratic Republic of Congo.
Democratic Republic of Congo. And I believe Daniel Nizic featured a few times for the Australian youth team squads. So we've got a few, but I think prior to the podcast, Posh had a good one.
Yeah, Shwan Jalal obviously played for the England national 11 for the the non-league one when he was at Woking, but then he got called up by Iraq and but wasn't able to play because of injury. So his only one appearance was in the first half of an unofficial friendly at the opening of a new ground in Kurdistan. Called at a team called Zako in the Zako International Stadium. So I was like, and also, first half and an unofficial friendly. That's pretty
that's pretty tenuous link. Also we're missing one as well. Joe Lewis appeared for England under 21s while appearing for Morecambe.
Of course. So. And he was in an England squad as well in the Caribbean. Was that? that after he'd gone? Wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was after he left, and he replaced somebody late on for injury.
Yeah, somebody got injured. Yeah, in the seniors. Yeah, so I do remember. I remember seeing a couple of shots of him on the bench in the on the coverage.
So we've got quite a few keepers there. We'll move to. I'll move to centre backs first, because if we start on left backs, we'll be here till about 10:30. So centre backs, obviously the one that everybody remembers, who went on to be manager of Crewe, but played for Gibraltar.
Dave Artell.
Yeah, Dave Artell, absolutely. Yeah.
I believe he's had some. He's played against some stellar opposition. He's faced who's he faced? Because I think he faced Germany. I think they lost 9-0 or something.
Yeah.
But but they play quite a strong team. So he was against your Mullers and Marco Reus and players like that. I think he might have faced off against Lewandowski for Poland as well at one point in the qualifier. So, I mean, to be honest, I think you can take losing 8 or 9-0 on the chin if it means getting a chance to go and play against those players when you've been a kind of clogging League Two centre back your whole career.
I've got this view of Lewandowski's 77-bedroom mansion, and on one of the bedrooms is a Gibraltar shirt with Moose written on the back. I could be wrong, but there you go. So right, have we got another centre half?
Stephen Old.
Stephen Old, yeah. Well,
I'm testing you now, you see.
Right.
There'll be times when you'll be asking me, because I've only got
okay.
I've got about 3/4 team. But Steve Old, obviously, he was previously a New Zealand international and had officially retired from internationals when he signed for us. But he had featured in World Cup qualifiers, etc., and the Oceania World Cup qualifiers. So
yeah, there's a really tough question for you. Which Japanese team did he play for?
That's a good one. No, who was it?
Yeah, it was Shi Jiazhuang Yongchang.
Just made that up.
No, I didn't. It isn't. It's true. I saw it earlier. I'm keeping that. Yeah, Shi Jiazhuang Yongchang.
I was hoping it was going to be Fukushima Antlers, but that's even better. So, so right, we've got 2 centre backs. Have any more centre backs? Anybody knows of?
Yeah, Jan Songo is eligible for Cameroon.
He is eligible.
Center
I like that. He made himself available.
And also, he is actually the son of former Cameroonian international goalkeeper Jacques Songo, who I believe played in La Liga as well and had quite a decent career.
Oh, you have been doing some dangerous research.
And what's worrying, that one was already in my head.
Oh, right. Oh, crikey. Yeah, that's sad. Right. Right backs. Go on. Who have we got as right back? Because I can't find anybody. I was thinking we've had quite a few. When Stabby McElroy was in charge, we had quite a few sort of Northern Ireland connections, which we'll come to later on. But
yeah.
Oh, I've just realised Ryan McLaughlin.
Of course, Ryan McLaughlin. Northern Ireland.
He's got a couple of caps, hasn't he? I think
he has. Yeah, he has, and he was actually in the squad. So it caused us to have a game cancelled. Him and the left back we're going to talk about. So there you go.
The home countries are a little bit boring. Now there is
what still internationals. They're still internationals.
All right, but can I give you the one? And I don't know whether he played right back or left back. I'm pretty certain he played at left back actually, but I'm going to bring him into this equation now, which is probably for me was the most interesting international, because we're talking about home and even though it's home counties player, was Martin Giles. Now Martin Giles signed for us, and he never played a game for Morecambe. Sat on the bench, never played a single game. And he had more caps for Wales, obviously, he did play Morecambe games. What was famous about Martin Giles, why it's an interesting player for this international, was we got fined because we didn't even know that he was an international. So when we signed him, we didn't get international clearance, and Morecambe's only ever fined for signing an international.
Oh,
there you go.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to, although he never played, we can add him to this stream of left backs, because the left backs, obviously the obvious one, Greg Lee.
Fantastic.
Which is, but then you look at it and you think, goodness me. Keith Newton. Keith Newton started his career at Blackburn, got signed by Everton when he played about the last sort of dozen games when they won the league in 1970. Made his first England appearance against West Germany in 1966, not in the World Cup, but in a post-World Cup game. And he played 27 caps for England, Keith Newton. Ended up playing for us in 79-80, and his legs had gone. And Keith Newton at the time, when he played in the 1970 World Cup, Alf Ramsey was, he was criticised for being sort of quite old-fashioned, but him and Terry Cooper were fighting for the left-back spots, but they were both equally good at getting up and down, and we used the full-backs over the halfway line a lot, which was revolutionary at the time. And it's what Holland ended up doing in 74, and we started that in 1970, strangely, but there you go. I think Charlie's asleep here.
End of the game. There's 17 seconds to go.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah, superb.
Jumping down from the illustriously England-capped Keith Newton and the fans' favourite of Greg Lee, we then descend into the pits of Tony Capaldi for left
Tony
back.
Capaldi, yeah. Tony Crapaldi, as he was known at the time. But he was an international.
He had quite a few caps as well.
He was not impressed with the training at Morecambe.
Which, you're not, in fairness to him, in hindsight,
he
might have had a point.
Yeah, he might. To add to that, we've got very illustriously, we've got an England international who scored the winning goal in the European Cup final, and he didn't even finish his career with us because he went on to play for Netherfield and then Barrow, because that was Alan Kennedy, whose brother Keith played as right back in the mid-80s. But Alan Kennedy played for England twice in 1984, but he scored, was it 81 or 82? He scored the winner, didn't he, in Parc des Princes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the only goal.
So there you go. And the only other one I can find, we had Ryan McGibbon on loan, and he played 24 times for Northern Ireland.
Yeah, was he on loan for Man United?
Man City.
City, sorry. Right.
Very blonde hair.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we've got a plethora of left backs, but we have got Steve Auld, Dave Artell, and Ryan McLaughlin. So we've got a back four, right? Midfielders. This is, and I have to say, you came up with the best one ever with our Belgian friend, and you could do the introduction, Joel. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't think. We struggled to find anybody who's actually got an international cap in midfield. So we've had to kind of just go for international players generally. And of course, who can forget the mythical figure that is Belgian's own Florent Cuvelier, who was billed as an incredibly talented midfielder, a bit of a playmaker. I think might have played 15 minutes in the Papa John's Trophy. And part of the reason he was playing for us is because he was always injured. I think he had a spell at Sunderland, so he was, he could have been going places. Maybe he could have broken into the Belgian team at one point. I mean, but obviously his injuries have hampered his career massively. There was a great feature, I think it was a BBC article they did with him about how he used to deliver pizzas in between professional contracts. But yeah, I think that exactly. I think he might be the strongest candidate because the hype and apparent talent level he has that never got fulfilled kind of reflects how his career went for us. And maybe theoretically he could have been a Belgian international, but obviously we'll never know.
Well, unfortunately, as you say, we never got to see his pedigree. But then again, he never really qualified for Crufts either. But he was unfortunately stuck together with Bostic at Posh, apparently.
Well, I mean, everything that Joel's saying before. I mean, captaining the Belgian under-19 team, and being seen as, apparently at the time there was France Football or whatever it is, actually had him down as one of the most promising players in Europe, and he ended up finishing his career completely at Morecambe
and delivering
pizzas. Yeah, absolutely extraordinary.
It's a salutary lesson in keeping fit and keeping your options open, Charlie.
Exactly. I was just wondering whether Toombs had made the international appearance, but he didn't. I thought he might have played for the French youth team or something.
Oh, that's a good shout. Actually, it is a good shout. I like that, Toombs.
Because
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Yeah. I'm surprised, but there you go.
And,
Anyway.
and did Tony Diani, obviously, he must have been an international.
Well, it's such quality, such quality.
I'll never ever forget that Hartlepool away game when he came on, and it literally was like we'd taken 2 players off rather than taken one off and put one on. It was just he just single-handedly destroyed that game, and he got substituted as a substitute. He got substituted, which there's only been a few of in Morecambe history, and that was probably one of the most notorious ones. He was so awful that game.
True. Yeah. And strangely, we in the mid '80s when we had Joe Wojciechowicz as manager, we did actually have an international in the middle of midfield in Peter Sayer. Many people will remember Peter, popular player at the time. Played for Cardiff, played for Wales, quite a few games. Got a big money move. Went to Preston, played in when the Preston were in what is now the Championship. Played quite a few, and then settled in the Preston area, and Preston let him go, and he just ended up funding out for Morecambe. And he was a very influential player, but like I say, Welsh international. So that's my contribution.
I have another one, which is Ryan Zico Black. Obviously, if you're thinking about international, he played for Guernsey, so
exactly,
played for Guernsey, and then, but if you want, but obviously, if you want, then play at a stellar. Playing an international game is what he did at the Maracana, which was extraordinary, to play alongside Zico and everything else. And then what was it? A Chelsea player who was on loan in the Netherlands plays him in, and he goes and scores in front of like 60,000 at a charity match. Extraordinary. So
all because his dad called him after Zico.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wish my dad had given me an interesting football player to be named after.
It is all.
But you got to bear in mind, he also played for Northern Ireland as well. So he played for Northern Ireland as an under-18, under-21, and then bizarrely ended up playing for Guernsey. So
Guernsey, So that's a good. Well, we've got 3 in midfield. Does that mean we can find?
Well, Terry McFlynn as well, of course, Northern Ireland. But then again, another one who just came to us with all that brilliant Northern Ireland stuff, came to us and didn't do very much, and then went off to Australia and just became an absolute star over there.
Yeah, Sydney United. He was at Sydney United, and apparently he's still there now, and he's a folk hero according to Aspers.
Oh, totally.
He's a folk hero at Sydney United because he did really, really well for them. But sorry,
who've we got in midfield?
We've got Florian Cavalier, Ryan Zico Black, and Peter Sayer.
Alfie McCarmel.
Alfie McCallum.
Played a few games.
Hey, well remembered. Yeah, brilliant. You see now.
So we've pretty much got an entire Northern Ireland team coming. That's something that I've noticed.
Yeah, good shout.
Quick shout out maybe for Kenny Takano, first Japanese player.
I had Kenny down as well.
International, first Japanese player to score in the FA Cup, which is probably topical because Japan have just gotten through to the next round.
Right.
16th World Cup, knocked out Germany. Brilliant.
That was very famously at Emley on an absolute horrible night, and we ended up losing losing in the FA Cup, and as was the want at the time, I think that was the first round, and then they got somebody else in the second round, and then got West Ham in the third round. And we shot ourselves in the foot, but Kenny did score that. And I always remember being on the North Stand when I think we were playing Northwich Victoria, and Kenny went through and this bloke hacked him down in the D, and we were all so busy shouting at the ref going, "Hey!" And this little lad in front of us said, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny!" Which was one of the big shouts from South Park, which was why did we not think of that?
Fantastic.
So good shout. I accept Kenny Takano, even though he probably only played for Japan universities or something like that. Yeah. But there you go. So go on. Who else have we got? I like Terry. So we've got Terry McFlynn. Jonah Ayunga.
Exactly. Jonah Ayunga, he's never quite.
He didn't actually play for Kenya, did he? No.
Administrative issues have foiled him on both his international call-ups. So he'll get there one day, Jonah. Well, he's doing quite well for St Mirren up in the Scottish Premiership. He scored against Rangers and Celtic, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So
brilliant.
I think Kenya will end up. He's now clear to play for him.
Yeah,
So
I think he is.
next African nations, look out for Jonah.
I've got a midfielder who's played for 2 nations.
What? Oh, I'm impressed. Go on.
I can't believe you haven't got this one. Jensen Weir played for Scotland under 16 and the 17s, and
Yeah,
played
that's true. Yeah, we mentioned. Well, he was on last week, and we mentioned it.
And
Actually,
when-
yeah. And he's chosen England now. He's played for England under 20s, hasn't he?
Yeah. Scotland and England, so that's 2.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jensen, of course.
Under 20s is quite a high level, really, as well.
It
I mean,
is,
we would have played against some, like you said, playing alongside some really, really good players at that level.
So we've got Jonah up front, and also I'm going to give you one England cap in 1962. A player who started his career in Morecambe and ended it playing for Morecambe in the Northern Premier League, but made his name when Jimmy Armfield and etc. were playing for Blackpool in the early 60s, and were, like Burnley, were a decent first division team. Ray Charnley, one England cap, and he was from. He played for Morecambe, started his career in the Lancashire Combination, and ended it in the Northern Premier League in about 1969, 1970. But he started playing for Morecambe in like 1955, 56, something like that, as a young lad. So there you are. That's tenuous. I'll give you that. There will be people listening to this who can operate at the internet who will remember Ray Charnley. One of them includes my brother. So
it'll be fascinating to see who other people can bring up. I think there must be some more out there, some really wonderful ones down the years.
I can think of, we've got forwards who have not quite ever done anything internationally, but technically do qualify. So Carlos Mendes Gomez, I think, was it Senegal who were apparently having a little bit of a sniff around when he was first breaking through?
Yeah.
I think
so. Theoretically, if they get an injury between now and Sunday, you can get a call up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And then any others? I think
Dermot O'Carroll was your other Northern Ireland one, of course.
Oh, yeah, Dermot O'Carroll. He's played. I do also remember reading something on the internet that apparently South Africa at one point had a little sniff around Tom Barkhausen.
Oh, right, yeah.
But
could
be a bit of a strenuous one. But yeah, we're a bit limited for our forward option, so I'm having to scrape the barrel.
Well, that was me doing the Ray Charnley thing. I was like, in 1962, never seen again. 7 years later, playing for Morecambe in Northern Premier League. So,
so when you get your 11 together, there is only obviously one team that they can play against. And because it's the only international team that I can ever recall that we've ever played against was Jupan of Lvov.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you may not remember this, Charlie, but basically, one dark night, we got all these messages where people had to ring each other in those days, and tell each other that there was a game on. That Morecambe had this friendly short-term organised against this Ukrainian team, and they were like world beaters. And what was his name? The really famous Ukrainian player. I can't remember. And my Uncle Peter is then general manager. Yeah, he used to play for them, and he's like absolutely never even had a clue. And
they were Ukrainian.
Andre, what's his name? Oh, anyway. And he said he played for them and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, Shevchenko. He said claimed Shevchenko used to play for them and all this kind of stuff. And then so some Wednesday night, we were all there at Christie Park.
200 of
really big, really decent crowd. Gary Thompson was a full Morecambe team out, and they're all thinking they're playing this really good team. And it turned out to be a bunch of students from a town in the Ukraine, and I think we were 9-0 up at one stage, and then we just said, right, just walk through and score. It was an extraordinary game, and I think that's the only international team I can recall us playing against. So there you go.
Well, on that note, if you've listened to this and we've omitted anybody, please feel free to slag us off live on Twitter. Or go on to Shrimp's Voices, or go on to Shrimp's Talk, or Morecambe FC Fans on Facebook, and let us know what a complete set of idiots we are. But Charlie's been doing his research while we've been live, while we've been catching up on Japan and etc. and Germany getting knocked out. Posh has done a bit of research. Joel's certainly done some research, digging up people who qualify but never played for anybody. And me, I've just dug out the old Shrimp's book and found, whoa, Ray Charnley, Alan Kennedy. That's the best. Oh, Peter Sayer. They're the best we can do. So, but we've got 11. We've got 11.
We got 11 internationals on the day when Germany finished the bottom of a league in the World Cup.
Yeah, you can't beat it, can you? And on that note, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for indulging us. It's been fun. Charlie, thanks for the update. Posh,
No worries.
thanks for the insight. Joel, good work with the trust as always. I hope that we do get, we'll talk about the food bank thing next week, because obviously we can really push that before the Charlton game. He's hoping by the time you've listened to this that Barry Roach is absolutely right, and we've spanked Exeter 4-0. You heard it here first. Barry is the soothsayer. If so, I want 6 numbers off Saturday's lottery if that happens. But thanks. This has been ShrimpNet. This has been episode 17, I think, of the season. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup. We'll see you next week.